Hello everyone, welcome back to another YouTube video. I am Chantel and today we're going to be talking about migration to the USA as a registered nurse. Alright, so for those who don't know, I'm a registered nurse, practiced in Jamaica for 4+ years and then migrated to the US with husband and child. My husband is also a registered nurse, practiced for the same amount of time, and then he went and did the psychiatric course. So I'm just a general med surg. He's a psych RN. So I'm going to be sharing my experience with you guys about the whole process, signing up with an agency or a company, and the whole NCLEX preparation, NCLEX sitting, green card application, and the whole migration and settling process. It is a long process. It can take from anywhere from 1 to 2 years for some persons. I started in 2015, I think, or 2014. I did not migrate until 2019, but that doesn't mean that the process takes 5 years. I just took 5 years, right? Because I wasn't studying. I was focusing on other things, family, baby, that sort of thing. And then I'm going to be going through the whole process step by step for you. I came in 2019, but to be honest, I still don't remember some parts of the process, but I will give you a general overview of what I do remember. And also to note, not every company is the same, right? So some company you have to pay for your green card application, while some company will do the payment for you, but then you have to take into consideration the year of service that you will have to give to that company. So we'll go through all of that. So for part 1 of this video, because I will have to be breaking it up in different parts, so for part 1 of the process, we're going to be talking about making the decision. And I'll be looking down at times because I have my paper here, and I'll also be writing it on the whiteboard so you guys can follow along with me. So the first part is basically making a decision. All right, you're a registered nurse in Jamaica. Yeah, it's interesting, it's nice, it's fun to work in Jamaica, but then at the end of the month, when that hit, you realize that, okay, then, so after paying bills, after paying rent or mortgage, car insurance, car payment, there is not really much that you have left. And as nurses in Jamaica, we have to be honest. There isn't much that you will have left to spend on yourself, to help family, or to put in savings to save towards a house, another car, that sort of thing. So you sit down and you think about it and you say, all right, then I'm ready to make that decision to go somewhere where there is greener grass. People say the grass is not always greener, but let me tell you, go and cultivate that grass, it will get greener. So the first part is basically making that decision. So in making your decision, I hope you can see. So making that decision, you're thinking of where to go, right? So you're thinking, do I want to go to the US? Do I want to go to UK? Those are the two most common places that registered nurses from Jamaica go, especially because of the help with the immigration process from the companies. So thinking of where to go, let me use a different marker. Right, so after you think about where you want to go, then you're going to think about the company or the agency that you are going to choose. So I'm going to refer to my company as company A, right? And I can tell you off the top of my head now, we have Shearwater, we have O'Grady Payton International, medpro Healthcare Staffing, Avant, and Interstaffing. There are others, but I cannot remember them off the top of my head. So you have to think about the company that you want to go with, right? So the company to join. So in thinking of the company to join now, you have to think about their requirements, right? So our company require you to go and do your NCLEX, right? Some companies will require you to do the IELTS, which is the English language examination. Even though we're coming from Jamaica, which predominantly is an English speaking country, we're taught in English all our life. They basically don't, some companies don't just accept our curriculum in English, right, as a pass. So some companies will require you to do the IELTS. I was with a company before joining company A. That company required me to do the IELTS, right? But company A that I joined after does not require the IELTS. So that's another thing that you have to think about. You have to think about the length of the contract. Right, so in thinking of the length of the contract, you have to think about how many years you would have to work with the company before you're a free nurse in the United States. Because remember, when you initially come here, you are working under the company, right? So you cannot choose where you want to go, where you want to work, that sort of thing. So you have to work with the company for a period of, some companies would say 2 years, some companies will say 3 years, some company will say 4,000 hours, which will equal to 2.5 years, depending on how many hours you do per week. So that's another thing you have to take into consideration. The immigration expenses. So for immigration expenses, you have to take into consideration, does the company pay for every single thing that you would need to do or you would need to have throughout the immigration process? Or will you have to finance some part of the process by yourself? Some companies, you have to pay for a part of your EB3 or I-40 visa application, while some company will pay everything for you. So when you actually help to finance a part of the process, the length of the contract is actually less. So for my company, company A, I paid a part of the I-140 application fees, but then my contract was 2 years. There are other companies that their contract are 3 years or 3+ years, but they pay for everything for you. So you have to take that into consideration. Do you have money to help finance that part of the process? It is expensive, that I can tell you. Do you feel confident enough in just coming up and going into a job to start working? Or do you feel like you want some training before you actually start working? So there are some companies, not all of them. I know Avant for sure. I'm not sure if medpro does it, but I know that company A, which I was with, they do not do it, right? So some companies will give you a 6 weeks training of basically nursing in the US, what nursing is about in the US, before they actually send you to your location to start working. So I believe that is very good. You know, you come, you start with your IV application, because in Jamaica we don't usually do a lot of IVs. Well, some hospitals do, but in most of the hospitals the doctors do the IVs. So you know, you come, you do your IV application, you basically are introduced to the whole SBAR process, handing off, getting report, that sort of thing. How do we do documentation in the US using a computer system? So basically we're introduced to that sort of thing within the first 6 weeks, and then you're sent to your location to start working. So you also take that into consideration. So training before a job. Alright, so after you have thought about all of this, then you can go ahead and say, alright, then I'm ready to start the process. I have chosen my company, I've thought about what I want, I have what they require. I will go ahead with company X. Right, so let's just say we're going to go ahead with company A.